beggars, sinking beneath the weight of this one's thanking. It is the bath growing cold around the crippled woman calling to someone in another room, and the arthritic children in the park picking dust off summer speck by speck while a bored nurse watches. The wind has toppled the telescope over onto the lawn. So much for stars. Your brief shot at the universe gone. It is some water lilies and a skull in a decorative pond and a tiny goldfish swimming like an animated change purse made of brightness and surprises, observing the moment through its empty eye. Thank you, bless you, beautiful lady with your beautiful soul. It is as if I tossed a postcard of the ocean into the ocean, my stupid dollar, my beautiful soul. And so now I'll share my poems. And for me, poetry, comes down to language, meaning, and sound. So I'm going to start with just wordplay here. Thank you, friends. Another 26 reasons for the tongue in my mouth. Alibi, still working on mine. Bouquet, more than A-OK, a babble, a blitz, a bomb of buds. Calico, shyness finds a way to speak without talking. Demonic, pattern of letters, memory fading. Embroider, truth expands with flowers, monograms. Furies, howl, infernal vengeance, howl. Garrison, not to be confused with a French waiter. Halibut, 5-year-old's punchline. Illusion, the comforting sickness of wish, half-light, deception. Jaguar, 3 syllables of kitten, 2 syllables of pounce. Klezmer, sea of clarinets, the violin waves. Lemonade, with a little sugar, citrus offers assistance. Moss, 4th of quintuplets, her siblings, mass, mess, miss, and muss. Nonsense, common as wisdom. Open, my lips part to say it. Pajamas, arms akimbo, knees inside flannel. Quarrel, bushy-tailed rodent hiding judgment in the garden. Relevant, kindred. Saltines, adolescents on the road to Damascus, blinded, restored. Thunderbolt, what claps for lightning's drama. Undertaker, please drive slow for his mother you are carrying. Violets, Elizabeth Taylor's one eye, merely violet, singular. Wheelhouse, a middle name that never would have run for president. X-ray, Billy Bob's brother with a medical degree. Yawn, delivering on its promise. Zucchini, summer abundance, fulfilling the Italian I at the end. So, some fun words, you might hear some of them repeated. Narcissus on the 44th latitude. Camellia blossoms fallen to green grass, daffodils piercing my firm beds. January trumpets are about to blow. This dose of spring doesn't seem normal, a word I better understood when I was green. Normal like me or you, familiar, our kind, as in regular people, or average rainfall, height, penile span. Unreliable words, shorthand. On a spectrum of cavalier code dwell unique, interesting, special, loose lingo, easy words. I label myself medium, for instance, size, smarts, in between hair, not the medium of oracle, though an astrologer said I might be the ordinary person having an extraordinary life, or somebody special living one's average existence. She was unsure about the angles, aspects, descendant. Left both options open. Doubt in my teacup I stir, legacies received, bestowed. Small teeth, sinking brows, melting sea ice. Summer heat in the northern hemisphere, deserts creeping across the southern. Wave after wave of our kind washed ashore. The new normal, that word again, everyday name for a shadow. So life may not always be a carnival, but for me it's definitely a roller coaster. So strap on. We got some stuff from death, and I don't think I have any sex. I think that tonight it's just death. No. So, man with axe taken to hospital. This was an actual headline on the register card. Man with axe taken to hospital. I could scan the paper for disturbance every day and not be disappointed. Search called off for the missing kayaker. 2 hurt in a highway collision. Harassment scandal costing coach his job. Nuclear buttons like condoms and boxes of detergent come in different sizes. A polar vortex raises the giant hammer. Reminders of tools, too dull, too sharp, all wrong for the chore. So which utensil will I use to consume the news this week? Fork, drill, a calculator? Today's tabloid recipes gravitate toward ease and comfort. Cheese, potatoes, chicken tenders. I try not to picture misshapen poultry toddling from crates, pecking order lost in a maze. I skim to lark. Unknown to me, a shiny woman beaming from an inside page. I'd like to meet her, but she's dead 4 days now. Surprise and shock of her passing, says the obit. Life full, say her kin. Suddenly after a glorious week with all 6 of, says the smudge in my hand. My news feed pulses in grayscale, black noise for the clamor outside. Finches, starlings, vigilant hawk. Flash of wing, of flight, the news. I fill my veins with ink. Here's my Eugene Landia poem in Portlandia, but this is my Eugene Landia. Teaching myself. A friend asked what I was doing to save the world, and I said, organic bananas. He looked at me as if I were a yellow crescent and asked again what I was doing to save the world. So I said, reusable bags and shorter showers. He asked a third time, and I offered bus pass, bicycle, hybrid automobile. No, seriously, he sighed with the deflated sound of a bad inner tube. What are you doing to save the world? Well, I told the remaining air around his shoulders. I write checks to good causes and vote, load scraps in the compost bin, keep a cold house. I said garden and clothesline, library card, my thrift store closet. I piled on smart light bulbs, old computer, locally roasted coffee beans. I thought he was going to lose it. He had cartoon steam ears, stern lips, looked straight into my face and then asked once more what I was doing to save the world. Our sky was soft gray, a cool pillow. Daphne sending perfume into the air. I was missing the point, I know. Have no magic wand or special key. I stood suddenly small. I'm teaching myself to play the ukulele, I told him. I have no idea what I'm doing. Stone fruit. My sons were born between small deaths, their possible sisters the size of plums. At night I fall asleep listing possible names, work my way from Allison through Zadie. Imagine girls sweet or tart, climbing hills, digging dirt. I hear the never worse sing to autumn, summer, spring. Do they squabble still now that they're grown, or call each other every day? It's never winter in their dreams. My plum darlings, my flesh around a pit, around a seed, long fallen, you are decades past. Stoned fruit, dear droops, your lips, teeth, chins, stained, forever russet. My burst of life, my pulp beyond decay. So, I don't know about you all, but for me, poems, novels, memoir, the whole slew of literature really is a time machine. And so, some of my poems feel to me like time machines. For instance, this one, A Warm Blaze of Furnace. When I flew into JFK that September, eyes gazed from flyers plastered across New York. Flowers erupted on every mournful corner. I remember the Stuttgart of my teens, its sham glamour shards, Bader Meinhof gang, planting bombs and fundamental menace. I remembered a classmate from a Waco known before the compound blew, before the towers fell. At our scouting jamboree, she struck a match to kindling, spoke of locomotives, long ago race to head-on collision, the crash at Crush, just north of her hometown, thousands crowding tracks, circus tents spilling, a spectacle exploding, a stunt for the Gilded Age, a face-off. In Manhattan, after the Inferno, in a faceable city, watching, searching. Here's a true story. Plagues. An intruder stepped into the garden last night, plucked fat Honeycrisp from the dwarf apple tree, heavy by the gate. Every blushing globe poached, no remnants, not a footprint left behind. May her tongue turn black. May larvae fill his mouth for days. So a lot of people here, those of you who write poetry and read poetry and share, you know that people often mistake their narrator in the poem for those who write poetry. And so while there might be pieces of it that come from our lives, I would say it's like, here's me, here's the narrator of the poem. Like there's overlap, but it's not like this, so I'm just letting you know. But there's a little. Okay. My mother calls me Mommy. So 2017, in addition to our welcoming new president, my mother was ill and died. So that's been showing up in poems, no surprise. My mother calls me Mommy. I was born in a ramshackle palace at the edge of her life when she released unexpectedly. The maw of her bottomless mine for an instant, hazel searchlights raking my face, perfect knowledge spreading fast in a panic. She had something to say, scraping letters through ivory gaps. I sponged her lips, crushing pills with a spoon. I liquefied powder with morphine, filled the syringe, wet her noble mouth again. I was reborn in a ramshackle palace at the edge. She had something to say, scraping letters like bones through a sieve. Every breath a labor. What emerged lay warm and still. My mother's memories, her small bundle of longing. I cut the cord, lifted my inheritance. In honor of saints, known and unknown. November, and my kitchen table groans under cold metal bowls of cherry tomatoes, fist-sized green globes, hard as rocks, in a bucket beside them. November, and a skeleton dangles from the hook on my door. Mumbles low about yesterday's candy, pumpkins on the stoop, melting like candles. I wear socks to bed and rise in the dark. Carrots, pale orange thumbs left hidden too long in the dirt. Roses curl into closure on stems. Crisp scarlet, gold, copper filling gutters, the leaves will soften and rot. Rain on the way. November, wait can be a long and gray horizon. When she told me hers was the good kind of cancer, my mother stood convicted. I pretended she'd already revealed the cyst on her leg, nodded as she rationed her news. We shared an area code, eye teeth, had more to say than time, and time was not enough. In my rear view mirror, the summer eclipse shrinks to a calendar jot, a pinprick. How many angels might dance on the point of a needle? When the moon passed between sun and earth, cool air came on suddenly. I stood with friends in the dark silhouette, within a great calm. We watched a fleeting black disk slide across the sky, saw the feathery corona. Silence, just an interlude, before radiance returned and the birds cried out. Did I imagine urgent dusk? At our campfire that night, a garden-armed woman, inky blues and greens, winding wrist to elbow, threw match after match at paper and logs. I watched her poke the fire, send sparks into twilight, watched her lift one tiny flare to her lips, extinguish flame as casually as shoving bangs from her face, casually as walking into a Walmart or a high school, unloading a rifle, or driving a truck onto a breath of green space. And I thought, yeah, this, how like a life that matches flicker, bright and slim, provisional, glow just out of reach, steady plume, and then a flutter. A break, because I love cliches. Grist for the mill. This is a little lighter, so take a breath. Grist for the mill. According to Hoyle, some babe in the woods wanted the armchair general, but his Achilles heel was acting up. He would have given his right arm for a toss in the hay, put his best foot forward, so to speak. Looking him over, she recalled that a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. She paddled her own canoe, crossed the Rubicon, searching for the dernier cri, something au courant, perhaps a pièce de résistance, not to beat a dead horse. Between the double and the deep blue sea, she faced her baptism of fire. Sooner or later, her magnum opus, begun as carte blanche, could become a cautionary tale. She explored every avenue, and still no golden fleece. Caveat emptor means nothing when you've already opened Pandora's box.
Will you show that one?
Will I do
Let's
it?
see what it looks like.
Yeah. Sure. I'll show anything. Well, pulling the bicycle. So, and am I about 2 minutes left?
Oh, you've got 7 minutes left.
Okay. Then let me throw something else in the pile here before because I have a closeout poem.
Oh, good.
I just wanted to just like how hard do we want to go here? End of summer. I want to wrap him in a towel, pat his shoulders, daub the red-brown neck, still dirty. I should have scrubbed that neck harder, rubbed his palms inside my bigger hands, cast more soap against the grime. I could have asked about the next day's game, about the green beans he picked. He might have talked about 2 dogs in the field, a soft mutt and yellow retriever. He would have tickled me with eyelashes, wriggled from my grasp. I should have tried to kiss his feet as he shifted, one leg to another, sighing, waiting to chase his brothers, past the tub, through the kitchen, flap, flap, flapping, skidding, the yelling and jabber. I would have put my arm around his waist before he grazed the heater. A jolt, the sudden current, breath ceasing, the end of summer. I would have pulled him close, my lips on the pedal of his ear, whispering, insulation, a shield. Here's something, a little something for the Me Too moment. The woman on the pedestal. The woman on the pedestal is a worn and hollow urn, empty barrel the color of bruised skin. Her shine, her purity evaporate at close range. She weaves, she flutters. The elevated woman totters. She is water leaker, taut seam almost riven. A scar, an urgency, she is violet, tumbler spun yellow. Body curving inward, her neck, the lip and flare. Handles for bent fingers. Who wouldn't want to palm her slopes? A nameplate reads, the most noise, a falsehood. She goes unheard. In a past, a memory palace, they say she was sacred. Another lie. Idol worship put her on the shelf. Above choke, kick, knee press, beyond punch and signal, she teeters on plaster, her cracked plinth. Her rib cage lifts like wings, her panic. Thrown echo, she is a bone shrine to emergency. Drained and fractured, she is bottomless cavity, slashed icon. Handprints line her column, the slap-happy artist touch. Alabaster, bronze, granite, serpentine. Make of her a container for evidence, alarm. Cloak her in sky and scratch. Twine her with terror. The woman is not hope, would be amphora or fountain. A woman perched, watchful. She would instead be fallen, imperfect, grounded. So I want to close with something in the form of a paradel. And the paradel is considered one of the more demanding French forms from the 11th century love poem, really. And it's 4 stanzas being those groups for those who aren't poety types, each with 6 lines, and it emphasizes heavy-duty repetition, which you'll hear, in which lines are repeated and then the words from those lines are turned into other lines. So it's a little bit sing-songy, perhaps. So a paradel, because this moment is your moment. Oh, wait. Now, disregard everything I just said. This was an invented comical form by Billy Collins, who was the Poet Laureate of the United States, 2001 to 2003. But I thought the form worked really well for excerpts from the current president's inauguration speech from January 2017. So. Yes, exactly. Because this moment is your moment. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs, they're forgotten. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs, they're forgotten. Mothers and children trapped in poverty in our inner cities. Mothers and children trapped in poverty in our inner cities. In your trapped mothers, in our inner children, the triumphs have been forgotten. In poverty, their triumphs, not cities. Rusted out factories scattered like tombstones, everyone is listening. Rusted out factories scattered like tombstones, everyone is listening. We are looking only to the future. We share one heart, one home. We are looking only to the future. We share one heart, one home. Everyone is rusted. One, we share only factories, one to the heart. Out, scattered, we are looking, listening, home, like future tombstones. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. And we will bring back our dreams. There should be no fear. And we will bring back our dreams. There should be no fear. We will bring American fear back. Our now this should be no dreams and carnage here and there. Right stops, right stops. And your children have not been home in cities, fear mothers. We are poverty, inner, out there, back and should. Right stops only. Now we, the forgotten we, share our carnage factories, bring triumphs, trapped in triumphs. We will be like listening tombstones. Everyone stops the dreams here. Their one heart is scattered, our one rusted no looking to this American future. Thank you.
Wow.